There are 399 condos on the market right now in South Surrey and White Rock, and almost nobody is buying. Sales were flat last month. There was no bump, there was no bounce, just stuck. And meanwhile, detached homes, they surged 38.5% in the exact same 30-day window. So what's going on here? Why is the condo market completely stalled out? And more importantly, what does it mean if you're thinking about buying or selling over the next few months? Because right now, sitting on the sidelines, it might feel safe, but depending on what happens next, that could actually be the riskiest move that you can make. And here's where things get even more interesting. Condo prices in South Surrey and White Rock, they have been bouncing around all year. They're up one month and then down the next month. But in June, they dipped again. Buyers are slowly coming back into the market, but they're skipping the condos, at least for now. But that's not going to last forever. And when you look a little bit deeper, it becomes pretty clear there's real opportunity here if you know what to look for. If you've been following the market this year, you've probably noticed that condo prices have been all over the map. One month they're up, the next month they're down. There's been no real direction since January. And then last month, we saw another drop. The median condo price in South Surrey and White Rock, it fell from $645,000 to $634,900 in June. Now that's a 1.6% in just 30 days. And that's not a crash, right? But it's yet another sign that buyer confidence in this segment, it just isn't there yet. Even with more listings coming online, activity isn't picking up. And that opens the door. It opens the door for buyers who know how to spot value. And of course, it creates some challenges for sellers who are trying to figure out how to stand out in this marketplace. Now, here's a stat that really jumps out. There are currently 399 condos for sale right now across South Surrey and White Rock. But even with all of that choice, sales didn't move at all last month. There was no growth, all right? No momentum. It was just flat. Now, when you compare that to detached homes, which jumped 38.5% in sales during that same period, well, that tells us that buyers are being selective. They're coming back into the market, right? But they're also targeting very specific property types and price points. And right now, condos just aren't where that demand is. But here's the thing. That kind of imbalance, it doesn't last forever. When demand returns to a soft segment, it usually comes back pretty fast. And when that happens, the moment there's a confidence trigger, like a rate drop or maybe some sort of a political surprise making the headlines, well, the market can flip very quickly. Now, just because there are 399 listings on the market right now, it doesn't mean that all 399 are created equal, okay? This is a two-tier type of a market right now. There's the well-priced, well-marketed condos. Those ones are still moving. However, overpriced, tired-looking units, they're sitting, and then they're sitting, and they're sitting longer and longer. Actually, the average days on market right now is 36 days, which is a little bit lower than before. But that number, it only tells us part of the story because today's buyers, they're very cautious, right? And they're sharp. They've got options and they're comparing everything. And they're only acting if it feels like real value to them. If you're planning on buying a condo this year, well, this summer lull, it might actually be your sweet spot because detached homes, they are heating up. Condos are still quiet. And if history has any guide for us, well, condos usually follow right behind detached. So instead of waiting for the fall like so many other people are, this might actually be your chance to step in while you still have leverage. Because waiting for that fall, it could end up biting you in the butt. Because if rates drop or even sentiment shifts just a little, you could suddenly find yourself in a much more competitive situation with tighter inventory and, of course, rising prices. Because right now, you've got room to breathe, right? And you can use that wisely. Now, sellers, if you own a condo and you're thinking about selling right now, here's what you need to know. First of all, yes, there are buyers out there. but they're not buying just anything. Only about 10 to 15% of the listings are actually selling right now, which means the vast majority of condos on the market, they're just sitting there. So how do you land in that top tier and actually get offers on your place? Well, you've got to price it right. And you've got to price it based on today's data, not last year's headlines. And of course, you also need to present it properly with professional photos, smart staging, clear marketing. All of that really matters a lot. And most importantly, you need to work with somebody who understands how to position your listing in a market that is soft, but could shift at any moment. Because what worked last year, it's not going to cut it this year. Now, keep in mind that these stats are specific to South Surrey and White Rock condos only. But things can vary. They can vary a lot depending on your building, on the building's location, and even your floor plan. So if you want to know what's going on specifically with your unit in your area or in your building, just reach out. I'm always happy to walk you through those numbers. There's a link in the description box below where you can schedule a call with me. Otherwise, I will see you in the next video.